So to understand sales tax, I think it's important to look at how we got to where we are. There's a perception that these tax rates are a more recent phenomenon due to changing politics in the state. But as you'll see, the rates we pay today have been in place for a long time. Sales tax goes all the way back to 1933 when it was established at 2.5%. However, one thing to keep in mind is that sales tax applied to a much broader range of things back then than it does today. It only took 2 years to increase that rate to 3%. And then 20 years later, the Bradley Burns local sales tax was established, which brought sales tax to local governments for the first time. This increased the rate to 4%, with 1 percentage point going to cities. The state portion of the rate was increased by another 1% in 1967, bringing the total rate to 5%. 5 years later, 0.25% of the state sales tax was shifted to counties for countywide transportation programs, and so the overall rate remained at 5%. It was just a shift. However, 2 years later, in 1974, the state rate increased again by 1%, bringing the total rate to 6%. Riverside County voters first approved Measure A in 1988, adding a 0.5% to the tax rate to be used exclusively for transportation purposes. This brought the total rate for Riverside County to 6.5%. And then finally, in 1991, the state added another 1.25% to the rate, bringing it to the rate we see today of 7.75%. So for the past 34 years, we have been paying the same rate here in Calimesa. Now, many cities have adopted additional sales tax, with Yucaipa doing so most recently. 17 of the 27 cities in Riverside County have adopted an add-on sales tax. And incidentally, it was renewed in 2002 by Riverside County voters, which pushed the sunset date of Measure A from 2009 to 2039. So how does that 7.75% get divvied up? Here is how your sales tax dollar gets distributed. As established by the 1955 Bradley Burns sales tax, the city of Calimesa gets 1 percentage point of the 7.75% of all taxable sales generated within the city. And we will get into how it is determined where the sale is generated in a little bit. Although the state gets the largest chunk, a significant amount of that goes to counties because the state passed on responsibility of certain programs that the state was in charge of to counties. To fund those services, the state shifted a portion of the state's share of sales tax to counties. Then, on the end, we have the 0.25% for countywide transportation programs, which, as you recall, was established in 1972. Finally, you have the 0.5% for Measure A. The city of Calimesa, incidentally, receives approximately $300,000 per year from Measure A.